Fatima Shams, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kристиан, for having me.
Can I start by asking you to respond to that young student who said, "We are not the previous generation, we will not turn back. You are the previous generation." I actually watched your protests on the ground in Iran and saw them crushed by the regime. Do you think it'll be any different this time?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is a turning point, and precisely that's the reason, because we see a generational change and a fundamental shift in the norms and values of this generation. I was born in 1980s, and those of us who protested in 2009, we still had hope in electoral reform and in the structural reform in the Islamic Republic. Our slogan was very clear. رأی مرا پس بده, or give my vote back. But what we see today is, we see that the women and the women's right is taking the center stage in these protests, and that most of the protesters in the streets, in fact, belong to the generation that was born in 2000s onward. And a lot of teen protesters that over the past 3 weeks have been shot in the streets are 16, 17-year-olds. And I think this is a very clear and obvious change in and shift in, the future politics of the Iranian society, as well as the generational shift in the fundamental norms and values.
Okay, so let me ask you about the significance of what happened at Sharif University. It's a very elite university. Many Iranians who get through that, go to Harvard, go to all sorts of, important high-level academies around the world. But also the fact that there has been a crackdown there. So the significance of that location, coupled with the fact that Khamenei came out from what some people thought was, his deathbed, to condemn and do it at a military police academy. What's the significance of both those issues?
Yes, I think, first of all, I think the unprecedented and violent crackdown on Sharif University of Technology campus is an extremely important and alarming sign that the current government, historically, obviously, they have a history of cracking down on the university campuses. But I think Sharif University in particular is important because it's one of the most prestigious universities in the country and representative of, as you mentioned, in the world, is a very important academic institution. And what we saw in response to this violent crackdown on the students and professors who were shot by rubber bullets and were arrested afterwards, is that the international academia is actually responding very quickly and strongly condemning this crackdown on Sharif University campus. And on the other hand, I think the fact that Khamenei chose the police academy, for his speech after 3 weeks of silence is a very telling gesture against academia and against the student movement that has been one of the major engines of change and social protests in the past 4 decades in Iran. What I saw yesterday in Khamenei's speech was a call on the armed forces to brutally crack down on the protesters and particularly on the student movement. But I also see that he's creating a very clear and very dangerous binary between independent academics and researchers and scholars and students and the armed forces,
okay.
and the police, and basically promoting the police brutality against the protesters.